Disney wants to prescribe Oxycontin to your children.
Ask about Illuminati, since the charting of Petex. Is it Disney mind control? Is this MK Ultra Deluxe? I go Disney, we go from real to real. I go Disney, Bohemian Grove and no more real. I go Disney, ask about Illuminati. I go Disney, we teach a code to everybody. I go Disney, the wish upon a star. I go Disney, you know not to travel far. Oh, I go Disney, the new brand Pinocchio. Yeah, I go Disney, it's a boss so adore. I go Disney, please enjoy the show.
Hello, welcome to the Occult Disney podcast, where we go poking around in all the big robotic marshmallows and mice you can find to discover their secrets. It's Matt here. Over there, it's the Paranoid American. Got any robots in your room?
BattleBots. Actually, funny you say that. I mean, I've got my lighting a certain way, but yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I actually do have all kinds of robot parts and microcontroller parts right behind me at all times. So I'm a sucker for robots. I love BattleBots.
I wasn't asking the question in any ironic sense. I thought you might do something like that. Do I have robots in my room?
Well, because part of the coolest thing that I got to do when I worked at Disney for 10 years was that early on, I was able to work with some animatronic stuff, not like the Imagineer top level, but we did have this weird, janky, you'll probably appreciate this. We had some like old stoner guys in the Disney engineering department that made our way into the post-production that we worked in. And they were using MIDI cables and MIDI signals in order to like control robots and have, eyes blink and things move around.
Well, that's because the whole audio animatronics thing, right?
Yeah, it was, and it was just because it happened to be cheap and they happened to know how to do it, and they just knew if I send this signal on MIDI cable. I'm not going to get too nerdy right now, but yeah, we not only robots but MIDI controlled robots.
I'll tell you where to get nerdy. Defunct Land. I haven't watched it yet, but my buddy has told me to watch yesterday. They had Animatronics Part 1. It's one of those things now where when they do put out something, it's insane. So they put out a 2-hour documentary on animatronics last year. They just put out Animatronics 2. Now it runs at 4 hours. So if you really want to get nerdy on that stuff, there is a place you can do that for sure.
You know what? It's not as interesting for me to watching other people do it. Like, you just got to get in there and just like tinker. Yeah, be hands-on, man.
Okay. As discussed before, that's probably me and guitars. I will screw around with guitars and get out with screwdrivers and play around and see what I can do sometimes. No soldering, though. I haven't reached the soldering level. So yeah. I guess you might know soldering then with that stuff in there.
No time like the present. I prefer larger soldering and not this weird microcontroller stuff. Like, at this point, you have to have a big magnifying glass, and it makes me feel like an old person. But back in my day, we had breadboards. I like to keep it on a breadboard.
You get those visors with the magnifying parts on them.
Yeah, but you still have to have the precision with what you're using. I mean, like your fingers don't just magically get smaller because your vision gets magnified.
I still love the scene, and this is pertinent because it's Disney, but or Pixar, but Toy Story 2. I just love the guy that fixes Woody, where he's just like old and shaking, but right when he does his work, he just like kind of like stiffens up. I'm like, I don't know. As I get older, I appreciate that scene more.
Like a sniper too. I bet snipers are like that.
Oh yeah, they're too traumatized, shaking up the stairs. But then when
dial it in before you take out JFK at the end.
Exactly. That's why he could make the shot, people, because he got that still and could make a bullet go in 3 different directions at once.
So
that's not what we're here for, though.
Well, this movie, you're way more familiar with it because you say that the main character Baymax is still popular in Japan. I don't know. I'm not in touch with these kids right now these days in the US, but I don't think Baymax is a huge thing here.
Here's the weird thing. I think Baymax got popular like in the past 5 years because this movie Baymax. I'm just going to call the movie Baymax. That's what we call it in Japan. Big Hero 6, whatever. Sure, but like I think it did okay in Japanese theaters or anything. Like any other animated Disney movie that isn't Frozen, that did much better. But like it did okay. But they opened a ride. They opened a ride at Disneyland maybe 3 or 4 years ago, which is the Happy Ride with Baymax. That's the one I talked about where there's 5 J-pop songs. You'll get one of them as you ride it. People hang out outside and like dance to them. The cast members are dancing as it's going. I finally rode the ride last month. Unfortunately, I was there at a time when the cart wasn't there, so it was not really that interesting.
So hold on, there's 5 J-pop songs in this movie?
No. In the ride called the Happy Ride with Baymax, which are specific. One of them is made by like Mrs. Green Apple, which is a very popular J-pop band. Which, but anyway, yeah. And then like there's like high school girls. I'll just like group around it all day and like dance to the songs and stuff. I've seen it. I've been there when that was happening, but when I actually rode it, it seemed to be on a really like chill, nothing's going on day. The cast members were still like half dancing. But yeah, so it was. I guess you should go at night as well, so you get all the crazy lights. I was in the middle of the day, so that was also probably a mistake.
And you have to go to Japan in order to be on this ride because we don't have a Baymax ride.
You have rides like it. There's I know you're not in California, but California has a Cars ride that's the exact same system, like same ride system. And I think Florida. I don't know what the theme is, but I think Florida has one too. That it's like a different theming, but it's the same ride basically.
So you were talking about music though on the ride. In the movie, I actually had this note of, man, I don't mind the music in this movie. And then a certain song came on, the Immortal song, and I had to go back to my note and be like, okay, never mind. I'm not sure if I like the music in this movie.
You're out. So, having seen it, and for me, I didn't see it in the theater because it was only in Japanese theaters. I mean, this is my normal thing. I saw it. We got the Blu-ray or whatever and watched it with my daughter. She liked it pretty well. We didn't watch it a frozen amount of times, but like I said, I think watching it last night was probably my 6th time seeing it. So she liked it somewhat, but it wasn't like one of those like, oh my God, please stop putting this movie on. Winnie the Pooh, which we did a few weeks ago, that got a good like 30 views, but I was perfectly happy to watch that one again. So,
and this one got like 6.
This one got about 6 views. Big Hero 6 views. Yeah. I think I'm at about 6 views now, but I haven't watched it for like 10 years either. So it has been quite a while since I watched it. So it was, kind of new. Like, okay, before we start recording, you're like, hey, did you know this was Marvel? And I was first going to come out with like, hey, did you know this was Marvel? And Big Hero 6 is the correct title because that was a comic and it's a team. And I forgot this movie had a team. You just think there's Hero, there's Baymax. That's it, right? No, there's.
Well, let's save that. Let's save that for getting in the weeds in a little bit, because I got some interesting notes about how it morphed from what the Marvel version was to what we actually end up getting, and then some of the correlations that you can draw between the two. But
and this specifically came about because once Disney buys Marvel, they buy Marvel in 2010, I think. There's still branding, like when Avengers comes out, it has like the Paramount logo or whatever because of deals still in place. But Disney was already getting like most of the profit at that point. I think it's after Avengers when Disney straight up starts putting their name on Marvel movies. So after 2010, Laster is telling his people to go, see how to use this. So the animators were basically finding the most obscure Marvel things they could and gave them like 6 out. Why did I keep saying 6? Probably because of the title of this movie. Gave several options. It might have not been 6 options, but this was the one that flew, literally and figuratively.
Which is interesting because it departs so far from the source material. But okay, we're gonna get there. Let's talk about what the movie actually ended up being first, and then we're gonna rewind it back and talk about the Marvel origins.
Okay, so am I doing that? We got San Francisco. Did I say it right? I'm like kind of like worried about saying that.
I think Fransokyo. San Francisco. It sounds like something a Mormon would do.
Yeah, so we got the tech industry. I guess it's slightly north because I think Silicon Valley is more like San Jose. It's a little more south, but all the tech guys are in the city now, right? Like at the
And
university there.
and are we in agreement that this is basically Man in the High Castle future? That Germany and Japan won World War II, and that's why they run San Fran Tokyo.
There is a production backstory. It's not that because that would be a little dark if they had to explain it that way. People wouldn't like that. They say after the big San Francisco quake of 1906, the idea here that is the Japanese immigrants really stepped up to rebuild the city. So the geography of the city is like to the point where they bought went to the city office and got like the proper, not blueprints of the city, whatever they call the overview. So like they put all that into the computer. So it is San Francisco with a bunch of like Japanese stuff layered. It's like the Golden Gate Bridge of this. It's the Golden Gate Bridge, but now all the towers look like Torii gates,
I'm going with the World War II thing.
Oh no, yours is more fun. I'm just telling you that the production actually went with the Japanese immigrants rebuild after the quake was the official line. But we can go through if you want.
This is going to sound ignorant, but that's okay. I thought it was mostly like Chinese immigrants that they populated the West with to build all the railroads, or was it just a mixed bag? Anyone from Asia counted as Chinese?
Mixed bag for the railroads. Chinese is correct. I believe that was more Chinese immigrants, but San Francisco had the largest Japanese population in America. Maybe it still does. I don't know. Seattle, I think, has a pretty big one too now. But yeah, that's just where they had the biggest, because they have a Chinatown in San Francisco too, don't they? So I mean, it makes sense if you're coming across the Pacific. That's the first place you're going to hit, right?
I've lived in 5 major cities, and every one of those major cities has had a Chinatown.
Let me think about that. Well, in Japan,
San Antonio, outside New Orleans, Orlando definitely has a Chinatown, and New York. Like every one of those had a Chinatown.
Okay, Atlanta has a Chinatown. Yeah, definitely, but it's like a China suburb, more like, right? It's like once. The thing with Atlanta is once they announced the Olympics in like 1990, that's when the city really like started to diversify more, I guess. So like where my parents live is basically when people are like, where do you live in Atlanta? I might say, oh, in the Korean part. Like my part of Atlanta is like Koreatown.
Good sandwiches.
Oh yeah. But it's all mixed up too. I think I mentioned before there's like a sign of a strip mall that has like 7 different languages on it. There's like Thai, Vietnamese, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, and some English.
Well, and speaking of, I do get the feeling that this Big Hero 6, the ensemble, it's a global, right? This movie also feels a little bit like Planes, where Planes was stretching to just be inclusive of every single country and nationality. I kind of get a very similar feeling for this. Which too, I'm not going to get too far into the weeds yet, but the original Marvel Big Hero 6 team, they also kind of represented that. I think that they skewed a little bit towards Japan, but they had like an international feel to them as well. Like I think they literally worked alongside the UN.
Yeah, I don't know if that team's memorable, but I will say, having watched this movie just last night, I've pretty much forgotten everyone on the team again in this movie, except for the stoner guy. And I don't remember what he did.
Fred. So Fred is just a comic book guy. That's what he does. He's a comic book guy.
Okay, that's why. So yeah, if they were trying to based on the team, I'm like, well, they did not make that memorable at all. Because I'm looking, what do we got? Sunfire. Names to Silver Samurai was on Big Hero 6. Oh my, okay.
All right, hold on. Let's save this. Let's save this.
Oh, we're saving it. Sorry. I'm stepping in.
So hold on. Let me walk through because really this movie doesn't have a whole lot to do with the source materials. So let's talk about what the movie does first, and we can talk about what the source material does. Because in the movie, it's about this kid that basically is a genius Doogie Howser BattleBot hacker creator, right? He's kind of a Mary Sue, but a nerd boy version, maybe like a John Connor.
Mary Sue, if we start, doesn't Mary Sue have to come in like later? Mary Sue can't be there from the start, can she? He?
I don't know. I always assume Mary Sue is just somebody that can do everything with no real training needed. So
It is. I would be curious to hear what listeners think. I feel like Mary Sue must be added after the initial stages of whatever it is you're doing, or not. I'd be curious to know. Like seriously, I'm like,
well, I don't know. Technically, if someone comes along and tells the main character you've had the power in you all along, and they're like, "I do." Wow, I do. And then all of a sudden they can do the thing that you've been building up to. I feel that that would be still a Mary Sue, even if that character was introduced in frame one.
So Neo in the Matrix is Mary Sue?
Maybe, although Neo had like some kind of hacker ability, right? He was at least being employed as a mid to high tier programmer or something. So it's not
like, working in a cubicle.
I guess so, yeah. But it's not like he just rolled up onto like the shore one day and then all of a sudden could solve everyone's problems.
Okay. I mean, I guess I could see a 14-year-old kid might be a little bit into, like tinkering with stuff. I had a friend that we kept meaning to go build a theremin. I was going to rely on his technical skills and basically help and then want to play it. But yeah, we just never got around to it.
That's how most of those projects end up going.
It is. That's the big one for me, though. Never built the theremin.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to tinker and make a little robot or make a theremin, like just order the damn parts and do it. Like you can do it in a day or maybe a weekend with the right YouTube videos.
Or there's a Saved by the Bell where Screech has built himself a sentient robot that we only see in like 1 or 2 episodes.
And it's kind of what this movie is. This movie is about Screech making like a sentient robot, and you're just like, okay, whatever. Yeah, Screech can do that. But a theremin you can do, but also after a weekend, even if you can get it to sound kind of right, you're like, maybe I should have just spent like $80 to get just a kit that already did this out of the box and then
I would totally do that now. Yeah. It's high school. I didn't have the money to go pay $80. Now I do.
So we get this 13-year-old Doogie Howser BattleBot kid, and he's hustling. He's basically hustling these criminals that are also doing BattleBots in this underground BattleBot ring, and he wins a whole bunch of money, and then he gets saved by his brother from getting beat up by, I guess, these like underground criminals. And then his brother whisks him away to a college campus. And at the college campus,
the
DARPA campus. And at DARPA, he meets, I guess, this guy that's kind of one of his heroes who's a professor there. And he also meets a guy that's kind of like an Elon Musky, Bill Gatesy entrepreneur / tech mogul there. And from here, I guess he creates these little nanobots. He really creates a couple things, this is the Mary Sue part. So he's got they kind of look like if you ever play jacks, right? With the little ball and the little jet. It's kind of like these little jack looking things that are nanobots that can form into a mesh and communicate with each other. And they can form any sort of shape that you want. But the other thing that he's got is this little telepathic brain scan reader that knows what you're thinking and then can translate your thoughts into the coordinates that these little nanobots need to configure themselves in. And I was just thinking immediately, and I already know I'm giving it more thought than they are giving the audience credit for, probably. But isn't the real headliner there, hey, I have a device that can read thoughts? It's not, hey, I figured out how to make these nanobot things talk to each other. I feel like that's pretty rudimentary. People can do that. But to actually invent something that can read your brainwaves and translate that into something else, that's usually the plot point of other movies. Like the bad guy just found this thing and now we have to get it from him. Yet in this movie, the 13-year-old kid makes this, and really the focus is on the stupid little nanobots.
And my note is, so Hero just invented the darkest tool of the darkest plans. I have questions about this.
And they kind of gloss over it.
Yeah, for sure. So the movie's focusing on the nanotechnology, which here's something from my past. And now watching this movie, like probably the first time I saw it too, but I did environmental education. I was working in Maine, like on the beach in 2002, and we had like someone come by during like training or something to lecture us about nanotechnology, like a bunch of teachers, probably about mostly 22 to 25, a few people older than that. But yeah, we got this big lecture about nanotechnology in 2002, and I'm like, that was weird.
Maybe, but also Michael Crichton wrote this book, The Swarm, that I believe was 90s, maybe even 80s. It was also about nanobots, so it's not like it was a foreign concept across the board. And this was post Jurassic Park, so
yeah. Well, my constant Star Trek references, Voyager also had the Swarm, which had a bunch of small nano-y. I mean, they were bigger than nano, but that kind of vibe, like, you know.
Well, in this movie too, they're actually not nanobots. They call them microbots, which makes more sense because he can hold the components of them in his hand and you can see it. If it were a nanobot, you wouldn't be able to see it unless you were like really getting in there.
Yeah, they do need to animate this, so
right, and even for kids to be able to tell, like, oh, they're like little miniature robots. I think it connects better than nano, because nano, you'd have to do like a whole zoom in sequence to just let you know, hey, this shape that looks like bees. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, after all that, they blow up DARPA. So of course, Hero's brother eats it in that one. And then I have we seen a funeral in a Disney movie before, like an animated Disney movie?
I feel like we have, but I guess now that you asked the question, I don't know if I can put my finger on it. But yeah, I mean,
I guess Snow White has the funeral vibe, but she gets out of the glass case, so it doesn't turn out to be funeral in the end.
Well, we gotta rewatch everything again and find out.
Yeah. Anyway, I know sometimes you're like, is this the
Disney? So often they pull the rug out from under you, so they might show you someone that like died, but then it's like, oh no, they're not dead because they just got a kiss. So
yeah, this is kind of, I think, like the most Disney proxy thing we've got in a while, because brother dies, Baymax shows up pretty quickly after that. The original plan, by the way, was that Baymax was going to show up near the end of the movie, and someone was
that
like,
would have been a horrible move.
Exactly. They were like, someone was like, don't bury the lead. He comes in early, which made them have to restructure the entire movie, but that's fine. It works better. I like this movie pretty well. I think it's entertaining. I mean, I think it's also has darker stuff than we've seen in the past few movies, but
I think it's entertaining. I don't think it has that same occult connection. I don't think it's as deep as other Disney movies are, but I absolutely understand too why you call it Baymax and why that's like the most recognizable part of this. And it's not about any of the other Big Hero 6 teammates. And it was crazy to think that they might have had a version of this movie where you don't even get Baymax until the end, because Baymax makes the entire movie. He's the most interesting thing about it, and he's where all the gags are. He's what kind of softens the movie a little bit, right? He's kind of like both straight man to like this weird absurd world, but then he's also so insanely like unable to hurt things that it reminds me of when John Connor again tells the Terminator, like, you can't kill anybody. He has to like shoot everyone in the kneecaps. That's kind of Baymax. Baymax is kind of the neutered version of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, the goal here was to, you know, have like a new kind of robot. So it's not the Terminator, it's not C-3PO, it's not any of your Japanese mechs. And they here we go. They got the idea from Carnegie Mellon's University's Robotic Institute, where they met a team of DARPA-funded researchers who are pioneering the new field of soft robotics. So it's just, yes, the idea of Baymax comes directly from DARPA, actually. Like, that's not a conspiracy. That's just where it comes from.
I like it. You know what? It's genius, too. As soon as I saw the mechanism, because for anyone that hasn't seen this movie, the Baymax character, he's a personal healthcare companion. So it's like a little robot that would hang out with you in the hospital room or maybe in your own house if you needed help. And it fits into this tiny little box, and the box can open and this big thing inflates. It's just made out of, I guess, like polyester or something. And the thing inflates with air because it has a little fan built into it. And then once it comes to its full size, it can walk around and it can like hand you things, but it can't really hurt you, right? If it like try to like punch you, or if you fell into it, it's just a big pillow filled with air. So,
no,
and
until you give it armor.
until he puts armor on it, and that which is kind of like Avon like Evangelion armor style to like imprison it, but also make it stronger. But in this case, like Baymax is unable to harm anything, and it is an interesting concept of a robot because almost every other robot I've ever seen, other than Baymax, would at least be capable of hurting you if it fell on you because it's heavy, or it could pinch you because there's like little metal joints that you could get your fingers stuck in, or they can like overheat. And this thing is literally just a big bag of air.
Let me do a little bit more of the Japan thing, the happy ride with Baymax. That's what it's about. You get in the line and there's all this stuff like, oh, you're not quite happy enough. Baymax is going to fix that for you, right? And that's why the song is supposed to, Baymax has engineered these songs to make you happy. And you get in the little car and then there's a Baymax in front of you that like kind of spins you around and takes you around on these loops and stuff. So at nighttime with people dancing around the edges, I guess it would be fun. But if you go to Tokyo Disneyland, just watch a few cycles. You don't ride the thing. But that's the thing there. Baymax's face, they also were like, especially once he's in armor, he still needs to look like kind of innocent or non-threatening. So this might be one of the reasons it's caught on in Japan. It's based after the bells you would find at shrines. Like they often have it's a brass bell and it has that an opening like that. I've mentioned before, Japan's Mickey Mouse is kind of Drymon. He's a robot cat from the future that doesn't have ears. And he's probably one of the top 3 most popular characters in Japan. But I don't think Americans know Drymon so much. But yeah, his cat collar has that kind of bell. So it's an image that Japanese are just kind of used to. So when they see Baymax's face, it's very, I guess, comforting for Japanese people.
Well, for me now too. Now that I know who Baymax is, but I feel that we don't probably get the same level of Baymax marketing in the States that you would in Japan either.
Oh, one of the best examples is if you go to the other park, Disney Sea, they have Mysterious Island. It's a Jules Verne themed land. It's got the Journey to the Center of the Earth ride, one of the best rides ever. And it has this little shop in this very cyberpunk looking like kind of dome, right? And for some reason, it's now completely Baymax merch in this Jules Verne land. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
Disney will make it make sense. That's how they operate.
The ride next to this ends with a giant lava demon. Sell some lava demon merch. What are you doing? Lava Mama, actually, because you see the eggs, right? And then it's protecting her babies and shoot you out of the volcano. That's the ride. So, Lava Mama.
Okay,
have some merch for Lava Mama.
So this 13-year-old genius makes a helmet that can read your thoughts and it can communicate your thoughts into this network mesh of microbots that can then turn into anything that you want. And he has to make this big decision. He has to make a decision. Do I want to sell this idea and work for Alistair Cray, which Alistair Crowley, right? Alistair Cray, or do I focus this in academia and make no money off of it, but just kind of like feel good about it? So of course he chooses academia because this is a Disney movie and Disney has to always like push the state narrative, I assume. But as soon as I thought this was funny, the second that he chooses academia, like that night, like 5 minutes later, the university burns down. So it's almost like foreshadowing, hey, maybe don't go with academia next time. Maybe you should go with private industry and the corporate world, right? Anyways, he goes with that, it burns down. And as it's burning down, his brother's like, oh my God, our professor, the academic professor, he's in there. So the brother runs in to go and save him, and the brother never comes out. And that's when we see like maybe the first Disney funeral. I'm not gonna say that it is, but maybe it's the first Disney funeral. This was Professor Callahan. And then we discover Baymax again for the first time, which was his brother's invention. And Baymax has like a little disc in it from his brother, which I think that they're kind of implying that it has some of his brother's traits and even personality and maybe even soul. Like I don't know how
very Evangelion stuff, since we were just talking about that.
Yeah, if you haven't been watching our other Cartoon Cabal show, we've been watching Neon Genesis Evangelion, but this one is very on the nose with that, right? Because the concept of Evangelion is that we've created these mech suits which can also somehow have big robots that have a human soul inside. And this is kind of what Baymax is. Baymax is this non-offensive personal care companion that gets hacked by a 13-year-old, and let's say 14 to make it more Evangelion like. So this 14-year-old puts a mech suit on top of this healthcare companion, so now it's kind of a badass, but he also finds out that his brother's soul might be inside of it.
No, Hiro Hamada is 14. According to...
so this is Evangelion. Okay.
Yeah, this is Disney making Evangelion for kids. Yeah, I guess so.
The other thing too I wanted to point out is that we see Baymax show a couple times this different pain scale, and I guess this is universal now, but it has the colors that go from green to red, and then it has the faces that go from completely happy to maybe nonplussed to I'm in lots of pain and I'm kind of crying. And it's where the doctor's like, okay, tell me how much pain you're in, and that determines how many opiates you get, or like the level of Oxycontin they're going to give you. And I just thought that's because essentially Baymax is showing him, okay, what's your pain level? Does this mean Baymax can dispense Oxycontin?
I guess so. He's coming from a university DARPA lab, like quite literally, now that I've been doing a bit more of the research here. He'll teach you about puberty as well. Do you want to learn about puberty from Baymax?
Well, not only will he teach you, he will fix you. He'll solve it.
He'll do sex ed for kindergartners. He has no problem with that.
He also, I was thinking that there's got to be some other connection between Baymax and at least Purdue Pharma, but Big Pharma in general. There's no way that this is coming from academia and DARPA and it doesn't tie in with Big Pharma at some point. So I assume that he could probably have some kind of like a mist, because he's constantly has fans blowing, so there's air rotating through his body at all times. That's how he kind of acts like he moves like a wacky wobbler. So that means that he could just aerosol any sort of drug and then just spray it in your face like almost immediately.
Yeah, I think so. Now that is a little more under the surface. We don't really get that deep into his actual medical skills in this movie, but they are all implied, aren't they?
What if you're working in modern technology in the healthcare field? What part of what you're working on doesn't make its way to Big Pharma? It all goes there, right? All roads lead to Big Pharma.
Yes. I mean, this one definitely is like, I mean, I guess you make the YouTube headlines, but I'm like, Disney wants you to trust tech giants and, burn down academia or something, right? That's kind of the vibe.
Disney wants to prescribe Oxycontin to your children.
Elon Musk knows what's right. He might seem creepy at first, but he knows what's right.
You're just going to talk to your kid about puberty a little bit, about some strange and strong urges they might be going through.
Yeah. So that's what stuck out to me. I guess the tech end stuck out to me a lot more than the medical end, but the medical end is implied once you start thinking about it. So, he is a medical robot, isn't he? So technically,
there's a little bit of Antichrist narrative in this movie too that I'm not overlaying or pushing in there, because the theme song, from what I can tell of the entire movie, it's the one big song they break into and then they replay it at the end, is about how you're going to become immortal. And I believe that's essentially the one big thing that we expect the Antichrist to promise everyone is immortality, which is also what the health/technology field is essentially leading its way to. Like if there were one industry on the entire planet that would be promising immortality, it's probably tech and healthcare.
Yeah. So I was actually looking for I wrote a lot of notes for this. Okay. I wasn't watching the movie close enough. I was too busy writing notes. Is that good or bad? I'm not sure.
Well, here, I'll finish up my summary because it doesn't get that much deeper. So I think when we see the university burn down after Hiro decides he's going to go with academia and he's not going to go with Alistair, you would be led to believe, oh, Alistair burnt it down, right? Alistair's like, well, if I can't get it, no one's going to get it. And he kills the professor and he burns down. And you find out that's not the case. And it's actually the nanobots that are now the bad guy, kind of. And Professor Callahan, the old guy that you think is the good guy, he ends up being the bad guy. So it's almost like it was a little bit surprising, but also very predictable because they set all these pieces up so easily. You kind of expect that, and so we basically start fighting Professor Callahan as the arch nemesis. But my interpretation is that it's the nanobots that are really the bad guy here because they kind of start taking over Callahan. Is that how you pick that up?
Well, yeah, because he's on the it's like the Mr. Freeze thing where Mr. Freeze is just trying to save his dead wife, and Professor Callahan is just trying to get his, well, I guess he's trying to get revenge on his daughter. He doesn't know that because that's a plot point we haven't mentioned yet. His daughter Abigail took a test flight into the alternate Doctor Strange dimension or something, and he assumes that Tech killed her or whatever, so he's on a revenge trip. But yeah. Big finale of the movie is Baymax. You're better at these summarizations, but Hero and Baymax going in there. Baymax is supposedly sacrificing himself to save Hero and salvage Abigail from the Dementor zone or whatever it was.
Right, and they find out that she was alive the whole time in some alternate dimensions. So then it's like, oh, okay, my bad. I was kind of being a dick all for no reason and trying to get revenge on everyone, even though...
Isn't that exactly the plot of the second Ant-Man movie?
It's kind of a lot of Marvel movies, to be honest. A lot of this is probably where they got some of that Marvel inspiration. The other thing too, my favorite part, I think, of the entire movie is that when Baymax gets low on battery, he gets drunk and he starts acting like a drunk, and that's probably the best part of this entire character.
Yeah, I would go with that. I had some note on that. Baymax is drunk, go home, but he is home. So now what does he do? Okay, that was my note.
Okay. And then we also see that Hero is able to upload kind of, I guess, a Neo Matrix would be another good example here, where Neo downloads how to fly a helicopter and how to, do all these martial arts. Now he knows how to do it. We kind of get that Hero puts all this on a disk drive, and he puts that disk drive in the Baymax, and now Baymax literally is doing karate, and he knows how to knock down doors and be violent out of nowhere.
Yeah, but that's for yet another Star Trek Voyager reference. That's the Doctor there. They have the emergency medical hologram, kind of a Baymax on that show. He's kind of gruff and stupid at first. Over time, since he's existing now, and they eventually have to they give him a program to be the emergency command hologram. Well, the emergency command hologram can fire phasers and destroy a ship and kill, beings, right? So that kind of goes against things. So once Baymax starts learning violent stuff, it seems like a weird conflict of interest.
Yeah, I would totally assume too. And then DARPA's like, what? No, we never would have thought that this thing that we funded and created ever going to turn violent. We never use any of our stuff for violence.
And I want to mention two other bits of media. One, I think I did mention the cartoon Cabal, which is Caprica, which is kind of it's where the
Battlestar Galactica
prequel, the prequel actually, but the tech giant's daughter dies in a terrorist attack, but she's done so much that basically she's put the disc onto the internet, where she has written, so there's this ghost version of her that maybe is her. And then Baymax kind of has this thing too, how much of this actually is Hero's brother. So that's going on. And that had me thinking, I told you before how we had family viewings of Alien and The Shining, as one does. Last week, my daughter likes brainy sci-fi recently, so I put on AI, this Spielberg almost Kubrick thing. That one actually drove my...
Whoa, we're gonna have
that one. That one drove my wife out of the room. She couldn't handle that one.
And also, I would just say that the Spielberg Kubrick thing is a little bit of a slap in the face. As my understanding of this, which is definitely biased and not mainstream, my understanding is that this was almost a slight. This was Spielberg pissing on Kubrick's grave because maybe Kubrick exposed the moon landing. I don't know what he was doing, but that originally Kubrick's vision for this was completely polar opposite to what Spielberg ended up putting out. And there are some groups of people that believe that this was done intentionally. That Spielberg was like, screw you, Stanley. I'm doing this the way that you wanted to make sure it never got done this way. I'm doing it that way. And that's kind of how the AI movie came into fruition. And the original version was almost going to be alchemical and about an actual homunculus and not
The
whatever
first
we ended up
hour, I
getting.
think, keeps that. After the first hour, you're right, but the first hour seems to maintain that, I would say. Like that one
Perhaps
definitely had
maybe
me
it's
thinking
just,
about homunculus and all that.
maybe Spielberg just didn't finish it off the way that it needed to, but yeah.
And it seemed like it started, but yeah, it does definitely go more Spielbergy. I do I think that movie's gotten better with age, so I would recommend a rewatch too. But
Better than what is it, Man of the Century or Bicentennial Man? The one with
Bicentennial Man,
Robert-
that one had Robin Williams would include as part of his stand-up act apologizing for that movie.
That one does not age as well as AI does.
No, that was a regular part of his stand-up. I don't remember exactly how he structured the joke, but he would amusingly apologize for that movie on stage when he started doing stand-up again. Anyway, my point is, in AI, of course, the thing that drove my wife out of the room is basically we're looking at a boy who's getting treated so bizarrely because he's a robot. Baymax gets rid of that by looking big, plushy, and cute. He's a giant marshmallow, right? Like,
Well,
maybe it's because I
really
see the movie.
Hurt. He can't be hurt outside of maybe if you destroyed his like computer that you put the discs in, but you can't really.
Well, even the disc itself did it, didn't it? Which, of course, Hero for some reason is able to recreate his brother's technology completely to make a new Baymax at the end, which that's weird. The disc doesn't seem, the disc there. Okay, I'll go with that for the Mary Sue thing, but yeah. But yeah, you only need that disc, I guess. I don't know. That's why I started thinking of Caprica. I'm like, well, it's just the disc. So yeah.
So the whole premise of this movie is basically Doogie Howser, BattleBot boy, brother dies. He invents some crazy robotic thing. The robotic thing gets stolen by his hero professor. He wins it back, finds a professor's daughter, and everyone kind of lives happily ever after. That's sort of the premise of this, right?
Well, except for Hero's brother. He does not live happily ever after.
Well, I don't know. He gets to live through Baymax, so potato.
Oh, come on. He's dead. They put him in the ground.
Okay, sure. He's dead. Whatever. He's dead.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing. I'm bringing up Caprica and stuff. I'm like, is Baymax actually the brother? I would say the soul is the soul transferred. I don't know. And that was a big thing in Caprica. Did the soul get transferred or not? Which, when you're talking tech, probably not. But then you got that's the whole thing. You got the Cylon, so it's like they seem to become sentient. So blah blah. Interesting show. I think watch Caprica, folks. It was good, and nobody watched it.
I saw it. I mean, it wasn't bad, but you also have to have already cared about Battlestar Galactica to really care about Caprica.
Yeah, I guess it is. It's the best form of prequel. It's a completely different thing, but you did have to watch the first one to really get it.
So so it's like, yeah, folks, go ahead and invest in like a 5 or 6 series HBO production, hour-long episodes, no commercials, by the way, and then go and watch the prequel after that. So talk to me in about 100 to 200 hours worth of watch time.
Now, this one does have a lot of coattails. It's had 2 series to chase it down, I think. They're thinking about the sequel still, although that's a quote from 2015. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like something they could do. Sure, make a sequel. Television series. There's Big Hero 6, the series, like 3 years after. And in 2020, there was a Disney Plus series called Baymax, when they were just throwing everything they possibly could into Disney Plus to try and have it not fail. So...
okay, I mean, you kind of already brought this up, but even though it's called Big Hero 6, you call it Baymax. The star of the movie is Baymax. I barely even remember the protagonist name, which is literally Hero. Right? The hero of the story.
That's how I remember it.
Baymax is still the coolest thing here, and it is a little bit weird to consider spin-offs and other series, and like, who cares? No one on the team really matters, and ultimately, no one on the team is really super anything. They're just wearing Hero's cool Doogie Howser stuff that makes them cool. Like, I could put on any of those suits, and now I would be a superhero too, which kind of destroys the whole reason why a kid would care about someone that's in a superhero team, I think.
Yeah, this one's also a good one to make a TV show, because the voice stars, I usually talk about voice stars by this point. I haven't so much here because nobody's particular. They just hired actual voice actors for once.
I don't miss it, man. I don't really need a celebrity voice. In fact, when I hear a celebrity voice, I'm just thinking like, what corners did you cut to pay this person some ridiculous amount of money? You could have probably had a cooler background right now.
Okay, Alistair Cray was Alan Tudyk, and Professor Callahan was James Cromwell. Not the biggest stars, and that is Stan Lee at the end. And yeah, me at Stan Lee at the end, I was extremely confused by, since I didn't know it was a Marvel series. I was like, "Oh, Stan Lee, okay, why?"
Spoiler alert.
Hey, if you're listening to this, 43 minutes in,
Okay.
I think the spoiler band-aid has been ripped off.
Well, since you brought up Stan Lee, let's talk a little bit about the Marvel background of this. And I asked you right before we started recording if you knew. I've never seen this movie before, so I didn't know. But I also didn't even know about Big Hero 6 being a Marvel team. But I absolutely love Silver Samurai. He was like one of my favorite Wolverine showdowns, and also because Wolverine and Silver Samurai are both like anti-heroes. They're not like, neither of them are necessarily good guys or bad guys. So I always found that particular face-off was like one of the more interesting ones out of all the ones Wolverine had.
Well, that's the limited series Chris Claremont thing from the mid 80s, right? That's like one of the best Wolverine comics ever.
Correct. And then this is when Wolverine goes to Japan and he's got like a Japanese girlfriend and he turns into a samurai for a little while. Like, it's one of the cooler ones. And I guess during that stint, or related to this and Silver Samurai, that there was like a Japanese team that called Big Hero 6. And in this Japanese team, Baymax was actually a dragon hybrid creature that kind of looked like Savage Dragon. I don't know if you remember that series. That was, I think it was Image or something. But anyways, he kind of has like the Savage Dragon look. He's an actual dragon. And in the movie Baymax, clearly they don't have that dragon look. But Fred, who is Stan Lee's son, you find out at the end, Fred the comic guy, he wears this Godzilla lizard suit. And he also talks about wanting the ability to transform. And that's because the original Baymax in Big Hero 6 is this guy that can transform into a dragon. So Fred represents the connection between what Disney has made for Big Hero 6 and what the real Big Hero 6 from Marvel is. and Fred is that exact conduit, which is why he's the one that's the real Baymax. Like, Fred is Baymax if you were to look at it through the Marvel lens, but through the Disney lens, you would think Baymax is this weird personal companion healthcare bot.
I'm looking at the cover, which actually it's Sunfire in Big Hero 6. Although Sunfire is one of the 6. Yes, he is. So we got who's on it? Silver Samurai, Go-Go Tamago, Honey Lemon, Hiro Takachiko, Chiho. And
Mr. Oshima. And Mr. Oshima is like the guy Baymax, that runs it all. Yeah.
And yes, Baymax looks nothing like you would think he looks. But the point was to actually get like take the most obscure thing so they wouldn't like step on, Kevin Feige's toes, I guess. As that's like, let's use some Marvel stuff, but something that he probably won't use. Although then his next move is like, I'm going to do Guardians of the Galaxy. So they were having the same thoughts in the end. And both were pretty successful.
I do kind of love the idea now that one of the first Walt Disney Marvel movies, if you ignore the Avengers because it's got its own little asterisks, but and this one doesn't mention Marvel at the beginning. You don't get like the Marvel opening sequence.
Exactly. I was so confused when Stan Lee showed up. So,
but but because Stan Lee is at the end of it, and Stan Lee's son Fred represents the original Big Hero 6, like the real comic series, which went on for, I want to say, like 30 issues or something. It was not just like a little 6-issue run. So he represents this connection. So the part that I love is that there's kids that are falling in love with Big Hero 6 that'll maybe at one point in their lives then discover Silver Samurai and then realize Silver Samurai was the real inspiration. So essentially, Silver Samurai would have been Hero's brother that dies. And that gets even deeper. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but he's Silver Samurai because he was kind of the leader.
He lives and he shows up in that Wolverine movie from 2008 or whatever it was, 9, 10. I don't remember. Years of all don't make sense anymore. The Wolverine movie where he goes to Japan, that's not as good as the comic.
Right. No, I just pretend that doesn't exist. The comic book is so superior, especially in that run while he's in Japan.
It's got that cool bullet train fight, though. It does have that going for it in the movie.
Here's another connection, Honey Lemon, and they don't really go into the other people on this team. Like you meet the characters. There's a Honey Lemon in here, but she's just this lady that's in a lab, and now she's wearing Hero's suit and she can do cool stuff. But her original invention in the Marvel Big Hero 6 was that she created these microscopic wormholes, and you could put a whole bunch of these microscopic wormholes in a certain place and be able to just kind of like store things and pull things back out in a purse. So she had something called a power purse, which has jokes that I'm not going to get into right now because I don't have time. But Honey Lemon's power purse was basically Mary Poppins' purse. And so like here's like another weird connection where Disney's like, we have someone with a scientific Marvel comic book version of what Mary Poppins had. I almost feel that there could be a Mary Poppins Honey Lemon crossover at some point.
Now I have to talk a little bit more about Drymon. That's the robot cat from the future. It doesn't have ears. I mentioned where his collar looks a little bit like Baymax. That series is weirdly like you'd look at it and you're thinking of something like not Garfield, but
Felix. I'm thinking Felix, since we're talking about magic purses.
Yeah. Anyway, he's got a pouch on the front of him where he can just pull any gadget you need out of. So
yeah, Felix. I think Felix might have started that whole thing.
Okay.
Like the visual aspect of having a magic bag that you can put big objects in. I'm pretty sure that's Felix the cat.
But yeah, Drymon is a robot, as I mentioned. He's got the pouch that he can pull things out of. He's got a door that goes to anywhere, which I guess is like his personal wormhole. So that might maybe the resonance with Jeff, because Drymon's very popular here. So maybe Baymax just kind of slips in right next. It's just different enough that you don't notice,
So here's the part that Disney did not adopt directly from the Marvel series, that the original, I think it was 13, but the 14-year-old boy Hero, in the comic book series, he's still a genius. He's still this Doogie Howser BattleBot kid, but he refuses to join the team because he doesn't want to have anything to do with these guys. And my impression is that the Marvel Big Hero 6, it's kind of like a Suicide Squad. It's like a Japanese bad guy Suicide Squad where some of them are crazy, some of them are outlaws, but they're all getting a pass and they're getting resources because they're badasses and they know what they're doing. And they want this 13-year-old kid to join. And he refuses to until his mother is kidnapped by the embodiment, an astral embodiment of those killed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So I guess just like it gets dark pretty quick, but all the people that died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki collectively kidnap his mom. And now he's like, all right, I need to get my mom back. So this is how, which is sort of the plot point of Professor Callahan losing his daughter to a different dimension, right? There's kind of that, a little bit of that going on, but also instead of Hero losing his mom to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, in the Disney movie, he loses his brother and his professor to an explosion. And I almost feel that Disney took what really this was based on, Hiroshima and Nagasaki and all these people dying, and they're like, let's just make the explosion smaller. Let's take the explosion that occurred on a city level and make it happen in a building level, but it's essentially the same thing because now Hero is thrust into this hero's journey because of this explosion that took out everyone that he cared for, which I think is ultimately paying homage to the fact that it was originally Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
I mean, this is kind of possibly the loosest comic adaptation ever made. I'm trying to think of one that's like less, fitting with the source material. There's a 1990 Captain America where Steve Rogers comes from LA.
Yeah, I'd say that Big Hero 6 is to Marvel what Super Mario Brothers 2 is to like Nintendo's.
The Super Mario Brothers movie, the one with
there you go.
Hoskins
Yeah,
and
Mario
John
Brothers
Leguizamo.
movie is another good example where it was like one thing and then it turned into another thing.
That one's a very enjoyable movie, by the way. Even though because you're looking, that's not Super Mario. What is this? But it is pretty fun on its own terms. Dennis Hopper is King Koopa now. What's going on?
AKA Trump. Yeah.
So do recommend that one. But yeah, that's not a comic adaptation. That's a video game adaptation. So I think Big Hero, because in that Captain America, the 1990 one with was it J.D. Salinger's son plays Steve Rogers? That's weird. Anyway, this one fits even less because we at least get Captain America and something that resembles a Captain America costume in there. Where, like you said, Baymax is a freaking dragon, which we do see, but it's not Baymax here.
Right. It's Fred, the guy that represents the link between the comic book world of Big Hero 6 and the Disney world.
Oh, one more Drymon thing. Where Baymax's boy companion is a genius, and Drymon, his 10-year-old companion Nobita, is a complete moron. He fails all of his tests and can't do anything. That's Drymon has to save him from most situations.
Oh, so he's a Shinji.
Yes, except dumber. The whole point, Nobita is supposed to be like real dumb, like in an amusing way. Well, he has a big dumb friend that's even dumber. So like that can't talk right, because Nobita at least can talk well or talk correctly ish.
Talk proper, damn it.
Talk.
And also, I wish that more writers and TV producers and showrunners had the courage to put dumb kids in shows, because it's almost like every kid in every show now is some kind of freaking genius, some kind of prodigy. Like there was a lot of dumb kids when I grew up, and I feel like they probably could also be in shows.
That's one of the reasons that I like the Country Bears more than I should. The movie, I mean, because the kid was dumb. Yeah, well, the human kid was smart but annoying, and then the bear child was dumb through the entire movie. He never gets smarter in the movie. He's dumb through the whole thing, which is fun.
Well, here's another example. There's not a single dumb person in this entire movie. Every single person is some sort of a genius.
I don't think I can say you're wrong, but I did feel the need to quickly look over the cast list with no dummies. Yeah, because even Fred isn't dumb. He's just an idiot. There's a difference.
He's a Fred. He's kind of like a stoner comic book nerd, but he's still working for DARPA.
He could be the man in the chair for sure. The police department, are they dumb?
Sure.
Yama, the gangster, is he dumb?
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, but if he's the bad guy at the very beginning that they're portraying as he would hurt a child, then I guess he's supposed to be dumb. Because if he was smart enough, he would have just hurt Hero and there would be no movie.
They do find that dumb room near the end of the movie where they find where the experiment had happened. They have those stargates. It looks like Montauk gone wrong. And so, I did make a note for the deep underground military base, just not for you, but for anyone that didn't catch it.
I described it as a psychedelic cloud realm. So yeah.
Oh, that's our dimension. I'm talking about when they first find the laboratory where they did the experiment, and then they turn back on. Then they go into the weird psychedelic cloud realm.
It reminded me of a level of Psychonauts. I don't know if you've ever played that game.
I did actually, but it's been quite a while. That sounds about right. Okay. I know. I was like, I think I was like, give me the most psychedelic game you can, and then someone made me play a bit of Psychonauts. So,
yeah, well, because Psychonauts is legitimately a good game, and then it also happens to be very psychedelic. And most of the time, you'll find a game that like they leaned all the way into psychedelic, and then you're like, oh wait, am I supposed to be having fun here, or just having like a quick 20-minute experience?
Yeah, there is a fine line. I can tell you games. I got Steam gifted a few games a few months ago, but I don't play games on my laptop, so I haven't really played them. But you can tell me if any of these are worth having a look into.
I'm probably the worst person for this, but go.
The worst plays. What I got? Grindstone, Portal. I know what Portal is. I just haven't played it. Broforce, Pony Island, Undertale. I don't know.
Yeah, Broforce is classic 80s arcade shoot 'em up kind of style. So if you like it's kind of Contra. It's a little bit like Contra. Undertale is supposed to be an NES style like Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2 kind of game, but woke.
Okay, just to make it seem like I didn't go completely off topic, Baymax video games is Big Hero 6 Battle in the Bay, Nintendo 3DS and DS. I doubt it's good. Okay,
there you go. Now we're back on track.
Yeah, I started the tangent. I'll end the tangent. It seems they never made a particularly good. You can play Baymax on Fortnite, but you can play everybody on Fortnite, I think, can't you? Like you and I should be on Fortnite at this point.
I think I might be. I think someone put me on Fortnite.
Oh, okay. There we go. See, I wasn't being sarcastic again. I live in Japan. I don't do sarcasm anymore for the most part. I don't get sarcasm either. That sometimes, yeah. I'm gullible as hell now.
So you said that Baymax has got a resurgence in the last 5 years in Japan. Is there a reason? Are they coming out with like a sequel they're going to be pushing soon, or like why only 5 years ago and not when the movie
Well, like
actually
I
came
said,
out 10 years
I
ago?
think the ride helped. They made a big push on merch, and it really seems to have been successful, right? I've been seeing a lot, like teaching kids. I see a lot more Baymax. I mentioned I got the girl that I teach on Wednesdays, and half the time she shows up wearing have it with a Baymax bag, Baymax shirt, and yeah, just tons of Baymax stuff. So I think it's probably the ride and the actual latter day push. It doesn't sound like a sequel is like super in the works, so I'm sure it's on their mind, but maybe it's not the priority because it's. I mean, Zootopia 2 just came out. Big Hero 6 was successful. It wasn't like Zootopia successful. Oh yeah, I never did the numbers on this one. I should probably do that. What do we got? I gotta scroll up for that though.
And who was this made for? Was this made for like Asian market first and then American market secondary, or do you think that this was still made mostly for America?
I think this is one of those times where the word four quadrant probably was spoken in their boardrooms a lot.
Okay.
It has that vibe to it,
Yeah, those are
girls
great
might
memes.
like it too because Baymax is cute, which is true. A lot of girls, a lot of the people dancing around the ride are high school girls, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, true.
the girl with all the Baymax merch, so in Japan in particular, it did kind of catch with some girls too. It I guess did their four quadrant thing. 165 on the budget, 657.8 million on the box office.
Okay.
California Adventure, I think, recently converted their San Francisco area to San Fran Tokyo, which I don't know if that's finished or not. I've never been to California Adventure, so but I know that they're pushing the Baymax button. They're a little harder too.
I feel that this movie too, I mean, great if they made profit on it. I'm sure they're very happy about that. But also, this solidifies Disney putting their actual toe into the healthcare industry, because you're going to have children right now that grew up that saw Baymax, when they were like, I don't know, between 5 and 10, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And now when they get older, especially as they get old enough that they'll be in the hospital most of the time when they get into like their 70s, 80s, 90s, like I could legitimately see Disney rolling out real Baymaxes. It doesn't seem like technology that is completely infeasible to exist. And this just feels like they're slowly dialing that up a little bit so that they can reposition themselves into a more active healthcare role.
Have you heard of, I need to look up the name to make sure I have it right, Catino? Do you know what Catino is?
Catino? I don't think so, no.
Oh, okay. First, I just want to go back just a little bit. In San Fran Tokyo Square at California Adventure actually opened 2 years ago, but it doesn't have a ride. It just has a bakery tour and a Carl Strauss Brewing Company and a couple other restaurants. It just has restaurants, so no ride. Catino, and this is something actually we should maybe look into more, is near Palm Springs. It's a planned community by Disney, which is going to have story living. So you can pay like what exorbitant amount and go live in the desert and be surrounded by princesses all day, I guess. Like they have a house themed to the Parr House and Incredibles.
How do you spell this? Catino?
Cotino. So yeah, Catino. And yeah, this is Disney. I mean, maybe it's like they're like looking at their forecast and you know what, these parks and movies are going to be failing 20 minutes in the future. Maybe we should get into real estate. Maybe that's a place, hey, you're having story living. Here's a Baymax robot that'll pump you with some Oxycontin. For real.
I mean, here he just has to show you the little chart. You point to the 10 on the pain scale and you're good to go.
That's right. It's like that little button they give you in the hospitals or whatever. But yeah, so that actually is a phase because Catino is considered to be part of the Disney theme park system. So it's not like Celebration where it's like, well, let's make a town and we'll plan the community town. It's like, this is a theme park you can live in.
That means that there's a Club 33 Catino.
Ooh, well, I think if you live in Catino, you probably have enough money to have a Club.
Maybe, but every different park has its own Club 33 membership.
I think maybe the whole place is the Club 33. I was actually I'll shout out. I was listening to a podcast, The Ride, where they did an episode about this recently. That's why I'm bringing it up. And the guy tried to go. He calls to like, hey, can I get a tour? Because you can't just walk around. It's an actual gated community, right? They're like, no, maybe call the night before. He calls the night before. No, he shows up. No, we'll show you the movie. So he gets to see the movie, which he said he was entertained by what he saw at the preview center. But just trying to get a tour of the place apparently was like near impossible.
I mean, I still think that they would have their own Club 33, which just means it's even more exclusive.
Oh, right. Okay. Like Club 33 for the Club 33 members.
Correct.
So it's like Club 666, maybe. That's what I call it. Oh, the other thing, and let's credit the podcast The Ride. This is fun. They were talking, and they had this is not a conspiracy show at all, but they brought up the thing. Did you guys even hear of the Smoke Tree Ranch before about 5 years ago? The idea maybe like Disney kind of started just showing Walt with the pin, Smoke Tree Ranch. Oh, Smoke Tree Ranch was a thing. So now people are like, oh yeah, we want to go live in this kind of ranch in the desert,
It's like
it's kind of warming people up.
Planting it.
Yeah, it'll be like when Walt had a Smoke Tree Ranch, and I mean we've brought it up before on this show, right? But they're like, "Have you ever?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't hear about that until somewhat recently, I think." So they were joking, and there might not be any real smoke to that fire, but it did cross the mind, Did they implant that as a memory for everyone?
I do like that in this like storybook living, or whatever they call it, that you could get a no-mobile to come and pick you up.
Ooh, hey, why not? They got to come up with stuff. The other thing they mentioned in the episodes, he was like, my wife and I, we wouldn't want, even if we had the money, we wouldn't want to live there now. We want to live there in 20 years when Disney sold it and it's all run down and weird.
Yeah, pennies on the dollar too.
Yeah, it's like, like another Salton Sea sort of situation maybe Disney is constructing for themselves. They built a giant fake lagoon as well with it's like chlorinated or something.
There's an interesting rabbit hole to go down on Disney real estate, because I remember when we watched The Haunted Mansion and they were real estate dealers in the movie and they were selling some house, and the house was a real address and you could actually go and rent the house right now. And it's within driving distance from Disney. So it's an entirely themed Disney Haunted Mansion house, not licensed by Disney, but that you can stay there and then go to Disney. Like just Disney acknowledging places and locations creates like its own little community.
Well, like on Disney's cruise ships, things they do own. I know they have like some crazy Haunted Mansion bar with lots of like special effects and things like on the ship, So they, because you're on the Disney cruise, you got to see the show. You got to see something that feels like a miniature ride, don't you? They don't have the casinos, so you're not doing that.
Yeah, are you a Disney adult? Well, we've got the perfect thing for you. Just because they have like Margaritaville retirement communities, it does seem like a Disney Margaritaville would make more sense.
That might be what Catino basically is, except that you're not going to put like the swinger loofahs on your doors or whatever. Like
I think they still would. I think they still would put the swinger loofahs. Although I don't know, Disney does such a really, they spend a lot of time and resources separating themselves from death. And I don't know how you start a retirement community and not start to become associated with death.
So Catino, I don't believe, is supposed to be a retirement community, but when it's like in Palm Springs and it costs that much money, it feels like it de facto would be one, We'll see. We'll keep an eye on the place. So, I feel like we're going to be watching a fascinating failure, though. I don't see how that place could work.
Has there ever been a thematic retirement community that works? I mean, I guess the best example is probably something like the Villages here in Florida, right outside Disney, but it's not really Disney themed. And then you've got a place called Champions Gate, which is also like a 55 and only community. It might as well be on Disney property. It's so damn close to it, but still, it's not really themed. You might have some roads that are named a certain way, but to fully go all out, like a Margaritaville retirement community where everything is themed a very certain way, but then you check back in on them after like 15, 20 years, and it just keeps getting more and more generic as time goes on. And I don't know if Disney would be able to allow that to happen, because now if you've got a dilapidated bleached generic Disney thing, it'll start looking like all those other generic Disney places all over the world that they spend so much time trying to get taken down.
Maybe that's why they build it in the desert. You can memory hole that if you need to. I'm trying to look up Cotino Rancho Mirage, a new era of luxury living. I was trying to look up their street names, but I'm looking at a legend, and I can only see the streets around it, but not the streets in there. So, okay. Anyway, usually by this point, I'm like, hey, is there any, conspiracy stuff you want to pull a thread on? And we've done a lot of that already, I think, in this one. But if you got something we have not hit, go for it.
I think my big one really was just that this movie is like a kid-friendly version of Hiroshima and Nagasaki explosion. It just localizes it down on like a micro level. But I really do think that that's not just me putting this on here. This is the writers trying to figure out how to capture some of the seriousness of the original Marvel series and then put it into this movie.
Considering that they're making an animated, 4-quadrant Disney film, I'd say they actually did a pretty good job with that. Just focusing on Baymax as this new character, pretty good job. At that point, it's not really an adaptation at all anymore. So you've now created a new character that just shares the name of, someone else.
Yeah, I'm conflicted. I mean, it's not like we ever have to sit here and actually do like a movie review of these. We just kind of point out all the interesting side details that you might not know otherwise. But like review wise, it's a great movie. It's a serviceable movie. But if it's supposed to be an ensemble movie, I don't really remember or care about any of the characters other than Baymax. So
yeah, because
I feel like this one could have a sequel that's better than this one.
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph. We got Vanellope. We got Fix-It Felix. We got King Candy. There's lots of memorable. We got the I don't remember, Jane, was it the military space marine whose husband
and Wreck-It Ralph is a genius way of approaching this, because within each game can have a badass or two or three, right? And in this movie, it's just Baymax, and he's not really necessarily a badass. He's just like a big marshmallow.
No, I was looking through the voice cast. I was like, oh, Go-Go Lemon was in this. What do you know? I didn't even notice. Honey Lemon. Excuse me. Go-Go Curry. What? Go-Go what?
Go-Go Tamago.
I've forgotten the name already. Go-Go Curry is a restaurant in Japan, by the way.
And isn't Tamago like a salmon roe?
Oh, Tamago's egg.
Oh, just a regular egg. Okay, so her name is Go-Go Egg.
Yeah, basically, yes. Yeah, I mean, we got Gudetama. That's a Sanrio character that's like a sleepy egg yolk, if you've seen Gudetama.
We'll have to cover that on the next episode.
Yeah. I guess we can start wrapping this one up then. A lot here, yeah. I guess it is a little more insidious that is just kind of like if we're programming kids with Disney movies, it's like, well, here's the foundation of your techno reality where, get ready.
Yeah. Again, since it was based on World War II, I still think that I don't care what the writer's room came up with and said 1908 and they had a resurgence after. No, this is a World War II movie, and it's about the Nazis winning, and it's about Japan taking over America and forcing us to fight robots with each other. That's essentially what this movie is about.
It's better than the Man in the High Castle TV show. Book's great, by the way, but yeah, the TV show I got real boring real quick, at least for me. Maybe there's the defenders of the show.
Not here, yeah. No, I know someone that worked on the pilot, but then they didn't rehire him for the rest of the series, so I don't care.
Screw that.
The pilot was great. But the rest of the
yeah, that's one of those ones where I was like, because I love the books. I watched the pilot, and about 2 episodes later, one, it's like, well, this isn't the book, and two, this isn't that interesting, and I just kind of gave up.
You know why? Because the most interesting outcome already happened. America won World War II, and nothing bad happened, and we weren't involved with anything bad.
No, of course. America, yeah. Oh, that diffused one thought I had. Yep. You mind wiped me. Oh well.
That's what America does best. So you're welcome.
Yes. Got mind wiped. Oh well, it was going to be interesting. Final thoughts, or do we roll into plugging it?
Yeah, go. What are your plugs?
My plugs. Let's go with the music plug today. That's rovingsagemedia.bandcamp.com. I make binaural beats to reprogram your brain and make you forget things. You can listen to those. There's like 25-minute, weird chill outs or something. Some psychedelic rock, some folk rock, even a few covers here and there. Go check that out. What you cooking?
Okay, well, if we're doing music today, go pop on over to wherever you listen to music, if it's Spotify or Pandora or iTunes, whatever, and search for Sound Scientists in Another Life. 22 decades, maybe more than 2 decades ago, I did music full time, and I got some cool stuff placed, and you can find some of it hidden out there under Sound Scientists. So go check it out.
All right, folks. Well, you can show me where the bad professor touched you on the giant vinyl robot if you want.
All American stickers, cryptids, cults, and killers. We got all your favorite conspiracies, all the land and more on our sticker sheets. Paranoid American stickers, they'll make you smile and snicker. False flags and secret societies, all of these and more on our sticker sheets.
Explore the unique with Paranoid American sticker sheets. Unearth tales of cryptids, cults, and mysteries through each sticker. These won't last long. Get yours now at paranoidamerican.com.
All American stickers, cryptids, cults, and killers. We got all your favorite conspiracies, all the land and more on our sticker sheets. Paranoid American stickers, they'll make you smile and snicker. False flags and secret societies, all of these and more on our sticker sheets.
What the heck are you waiting for? Discover the extraordinary with Paranoid American sticker sheets. From cryptids in the night to cults out of sight, each sticker is a unique find. Get yours now at paranoidamerican.com.
Paranoid. Yo. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane paper, the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hey, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bomb distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blunt smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Man, it's not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when the beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.